some violent, crazy people who are screaming at kids with a few crazy liberals who are screaming at the vice president. But I think that's a very worthwhile trade to make because we want our people to be able to enjoy our beautiful cities. It's kind of crazy. You hear these guys outside. They appear to hate the idea that Americans can enjoy their communities.
If you're wondering how the conversation between J.D. Vance and Trump likely went after this situation, here's a snippet.
Smithies, are they booing me?
No, they're saying boo earns, boo earns.
Now, if you've been on the internet today, you'll likely have seen videos of J.D. Vance being mercilessly booed and heckled with chants of, quote, "Free DC" during a photo op with National Guard troops at Union Station, and set out to hand out burgers to troops deployed last week by Donald Trump at the station's Shake Shack alongside the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller.
You Pete! Nazis!
Climate justice!
This is the guy who thinks people don't deserve law and order in their own community.
Mr. Vice President, how did it go?
Guys, thank you.
And he tried to follow that up with a speech that acted as a facsimile to his entire input as vice president.
Some violent, crazy people who are screaming at kids with a few crazy liberals who are screaming at the vice president. But I think that's a very worthwhile trade to make because we want our people to be able to enjoy our beautiful cities. And the last thing I'll say is to the American people, DC is already safer than it was 9 days ago, but we're going to make it safer still to come. This is your city. You should feel free to come and visit here, have a meal, see all these incredible monuments, and actually enjoy yourself. And that's what we're trying to make happen. And I think that if we set a standard in Washington, D.C., that political willpower can bring some common sense law and order back to these communities, then maybe some other communities and other cities will follow suit. So it's kind of crazy. You hear these guys outside. They appear to hate the idea that Americans can enjoy their communities, and they do the fact that D.C. a week ago had a higher murder rate than Trinidad and Tobago, which the United States State Department has said you shouldn't visit because it's unsafe. We ought to be able to enjoy great American cities. That's what we're trying to do in the Trump administration.
Reporters soon asked the VP, fresh off of vacation, why the troops were at the station instead of parts of the city where they claim crime rates were statistically higher. Or, on that note, any of the numerous cities in red states that have substantially higher crime rates.
President, why are troops stationed here at Union Station on the National Mall instead of areas in D.C. where crime is statistically highest?
Well, if you've ever been to Union Station in the last few years with your family, you know that crime is actually extremely high right here in Union Station. You have vagrants, you have drug addicts, you have the chronically homeless, you have the mentally ill who harass, who threaten violence, who attack families, and they've done it for far too long. This should be a monument to American greatness. This should be a place where you can come and share a meal or go shopping with your family. It should not be a place where parents of small children are afraid to bring them because, to Stephen's point, we have empowered criminals over the people who actually need public safety in the city. So I think Union Station is a great example of what's possible when you actually have the political willpower to bring law and order and common decency back to the public spaces of the United States of America. So many.
And the thing is, this comes as the president federalized the city's Metropolitan Police Department and directed Pete Hegseth to mobilize National Guard troops, claiming he was cracking down on crime, bloodshed, bedlam, and squalor in the nation's, quote, lawless capital, despite a sharply falling crime rate with violent crime at a 30-year low.
It's becoming a situation of complete and total lawlessness. And we're getting rid of the slums, too. We have slums here. We're getting rid of them. I know it's not politically correct. You'll say, oh, so terrible. No, we're getting rid of the slums where they live.
Well, he's referring to a provision in the D.C. Home Rule Act, which allows him to declare a police emergency relating to a federal matter. They haven't defined what the emergency is, especially with crime rates at a 30-year low. in the District of Columbia. And he's deployed the National Guard. At least I'm happy to see that he acknowledges he has the power to activate the National Guard. That was what he refused to do 4.5 years ago when the Capitol and his own vice president and Congress were under attack by the mob violence that he unleashed against us. And he sat on his hands for many hours and then later asserted he somehow didn't have the authority to deploy the National Guard. That was a real emergency. This is not a real emergency. He was not asked to send in the National Guard or take over the police by the House or the Senate or the mayor or the DC Council. This looks to me like an emergency which is manufactured because of a public relations crisis relating to the Epstein file. He doesn't want to release the Epstein file, so he wants everybody to look in another direction.
And this echoed his decision to deploy troops in Los Angeles during the anti-ICE protests, while threatening to do the same in other major cities, of course only in blue states.
Now we're here making Los Angeles a safer place, since we won't have politicians that'll do it. We do that ourselves.
About the fact that we're affirming our independent commission, and we're calling for a national independent commission as well. Well, I think it's pretty sick and pathetic. And it just said everything you need to know, the setting that we're under. That they chose the time, manner, and place to send their district director outside right when we're about to have this press conference. Said everything you know about Donald Trump's America. And that was top down. You know that for a fact. They'll deny it, I'm sure. Maybe they won't deny it. Said everything you know about the authoritarian tendencies of the President of the United States. I said in a moment ago, wake up, America. Wake up. You will not have a country if he rigs this election. You will have a president who will be running for a third term. Mark my word. I wasn't exaggerating when I said that I received in the mail a Trump 2028 hat from one of his biggest supporters. These guys are not screwing around. The rules do not apply to him. The most corrupt president in history. Doesn't believe in free enterprise, crony capitalism. He is wrecking this country, wrecking the economy. He's a lawless president. Wake up, America. Wake up to what's going on.
But it's not like this response is a flash in the pan, right? Republican lawmakers are facing similar treatment at their own town halls across the country, as it is clear that Americans are taking issue with them bending the knee to Donald Trump.
Who's responsible for establishing tariffs in our country?
Well, right now the president has taken that authority, but I imagine when we go back in September, we're going to be talking about that.
Why did he take that authority?
You're going to have to ask
You
him.
guys gave it to him. The House of Representatives are responsible for establishing tariffs. You gave that to him. The next thing I'd like to ask you,
That's exactly what's going to happen.
you look at the bigger picture. You're here to take
Tariffs have raised over $150 billion.
Who pays for that? Who pays for that? We pay for that.
Inflation has not gone up.
Inflation
has not gone up.
There are reasons it hasn't gone up if you look at the...
And it's also reflected in his polling. It shows the president underwater on almost every issue, especially this one, his decision to deploy the National Guard in DC. It's almost as unpopular as his handling of inflation, that he, of course, claims is next to nothing. I mean, why don't we bring in Fox News on that matter?
Seniors, and we've ended Biden's inflation nightmare. So we had the worst inflation in the history of our country. And now our inflation is down to a perfect number, a beautiful number, hardly any at all.
They're just acting like Democrats.
And you say Donald Trump tells it like it is. Literally today, he said inflation cooling right where we want it. And we got the U.S. wholesale inflation number, which is the highest that it's been in 3 years. Fresh and dry veggies up 39%, beef up 80%, toys, appliances, shoes, things that we all need. 44% of people are saying now that they are going to have to go into debt to get their kids back to school.
The truth is more important than ever. Check out our new Truth Over Lies collection at store.midastouch.com. All 100% USA union made.